Okay, so I don't normally answer questions because a lot of questions out there are very, very basic, and so I just try not to be too redundant and people can follow my information or watch the videos. But if someone puts thought into a question, I will give a thoughtful answer. Okay, so this question is, would it be correct? Well, this is what I said initially in a post. Men are also getting fertilized by new viral entities. Haha, oh boy, virus, vector, germ, sperm, vaccine. Oh, the irony. And you can take what you want from that. Okay? So somebody asked, would it be correct? And they did it publicly because they put it on my wall, and my wall is public. So I'm going to assume that they're okay with me answering it this way. Would it be correct to feel and state that proper feeding, J-juice, and proper rest can overrun, delete, or reprogram in favor of the host, the algorithm, and frequencies these new viral entities are trying to input into the body system of the host? Here's the thing. All the new information in the environment are going to upgrade your system. You're going to have to adapt. You don't want to be in a cured state. Absolutely, Abby. But you don't want to be in a cured state. You want to be able to first recalibrate your body. And that means that everything, all retroactive evolution, as well as current evolution, are going to have to be met. If you keep doing the J-juice on a continuous basis over a long period of time, and I can't tell you what that long period of time is. Some people are doing J-juice still today, and they've been doing it for the last 3 years. They're in a cured state of decline. I say, hey, if you are not so obese and you're not so underweight, doing a few waterfalls to reset the body is completely fine. Then you have to eat the food supply and you have to deal with the symptoms. Okay? You can't get away from that. And so when you're asking, would it be correct that the proper feeding and J-juice and proper rest can overrun? You don't want to overrun or delete anything. If you delete anything out of your system, you delete yourself. There is no such thing as deleting. It is making sure that you can adapt to your environment, not resist it, not try to cure yourself, but you adapt to your environment to where you are proportional in the way you think, the way you feel, in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. So that way, your body isn't being overtaxed or undertaxed. You don't want to be a jellyfish, and you don't also want to be so underweight where there is nothing to you, where you have no substance to you to handle this piezoelectric environment. So if your mentality is to delete or overrun, okay, you don't get it. No matter what, all of these viruses are new evolution. Whether they're in a vector or they're by somebody that you know because you breathed in their air and you took on their programming, and your body's going to have to adapt. No different than when you adapt to new groups. It takes me a minute to adapt to new areas. It took me, like whenever I moved to like Ohio from California or to Florida, I had to get sick to adapt. I had the major flu because I went from one viral microbiome into another one. And so you have to feel the evolution. You cannot, how do you know how to reprogram your body? All you know how to do is adapt. But right now you have a current programming that is causing all of your different issues and deficiencies and disproportion. If you're underweight and you can't seem to gain weight, you have some kind of virus that's programming your body not to retain substance. And if you're overweight, you have programming in your body that's retaining so much substance that is causing then your lifespan to be cut short. And so the thing is your size, your body mass index is going to tell you how long or how short you should be doing waterfalls. And if you're somewhere in the middle, then you should be doing just a little bit of waterfalls and reset your body. And then you take on everything in the food supply and you take on the viruses. You feel the phlegm, you feel the mucus. But if you're obese, then yes, you may have to do a lot more of the J-juice and still feed your body. And then if you have something very aggressive like, the C word, you know what that is, then yeah, you're going to have to eat a high sodium diet. because the sodium is what's going to neutralize the cancer cells, and then the sodium and the food are going to then recode and regenerate the current cells that are keeping you alive in this current state. Even though, yes, you have aggressive programming, which is that diagnosable condition called the C word, you still need to feed your body. You can't starve your body. But maybe you might be doing more of the J juice and eating a high sodium diet so you can help the energy, because you have so much covalent bonding in your body. Then yeah, you have to get through that substance. But one question, Abby, you can put it on here, and if I see it when it comes through, I'll see it. But you don't want to delete any program out of your body. That's like taking out an organ. That's what deleting is. When you take out programming, you want to be able to adapt to the programming, and anything excess will come out in your waste. Do you know what's in your waste? You're not going to go and figure out, well, I have 50 of this virus and 20 of this virus, and for someone in my area from this background and this ethnicity and this education level, I should have, 100, but I only have 50. So I need to add. That's the holistic allopathic world, is to compartmentalize everything and dose you. That's why people are not surviving this environment, because they think they can override the intelligence by dosing themselves, when they should be just feeling the symptoms, doing a reset for someone that's relatively proportional, a few resets, because yes, you have some issues that you need to start waking up everything in your microbiome. Some of you are underweight and you need to start retaining substance. So yes, you need to reset the viruses that are causing that high metabolism. And then some of you are very obese and you need to reset your system so that way you can get rid of the viral programming that's so conflicting, that's causing the retention, that's taxing your organs. And so you all are going to be on each end of the spectrum, and you're going to have to figure out what you're comfortable with. So no, you do not want to delete any program. You want to be able to assimilate. Just like you want to go and assimilate to any country you go into. You don't try to go and override another country's way of doing things. You assimilate. Americans are so egocentric, it would go to other countries and try to override the programming instead of assimilating, and then that's why they get into trouble. And so now we must understand how to assimilate to the environment and assimilate to the different groups. And if you can't assimilate and they can't assimilate to you, then you get yourself out of it, because it'll be a constant conflict. And there's no evolution when you're constantly in conflict with a person, place, or thing. So if you're in conflict with this environment, you're not going to survive it. If you're trying to delete programs out of your body because you don't want to deal with the pain or whatever, you will not survive. And if you're using J juice in reaction to because you don't want to feel the evolution, you will not survive. And so at some point, everything's going now back to the middle. Like I said, in the beginning of the J juice, you got to feel pain. That was the initial opening up the retroactive ionic gates, or waking up your microbiome with the J juice. And then when people stopped feeling stuff, they were plateauing. Then I'm like, okay, let me change it from the pink salt to the white salt. And they were feeling everything yet again, because the white salt is very powerful. And then they plateaued. So I didn't hear anything more. Like they were in a cured state. So they thought everything was great, but I didn't see any difference in the way they thought. They were still looping in the same conversations and the same belief system. Like, well, where's the evolution in this? Nobody had any evolution. I was the only one that's evolving, because I actually got off the J juice far sooner than a lot of people were. People were doing actually a lot more than what I was doing. And so they were in a cured state, but they didn't see any more changes. They still had a little bit of residual psoriasis, or they still had, the cherry thingies on their body, and they weren't falling off anymore because the body was at a cured state. They were doing too much of the J juice, but they weren't dying, not until the energy of the environment and the J juice over a long period of time sucked the life out of them. But that takes a while. So J juice wasn't poisonous. It's the fact that people were not evolving on the J juice. That's why I said you guys to get off, because you're not evolving. You're still an activist. You still have issues. You still haven't reversed your stuff. I don't see hair growing. I don't see, a change in how you say things. I'm like, well, where's the freaking evolution? I'm not that special. I will never, ever claim to be that special. So I knew I'm not a god. I don't want to be anyone's god. So I know all of you have the ability to be just as articulate and just as innovative and just as strategic. But you have to actually feel the pain. When I felt the pain of those fireworks in the middle of the night, when the viruses are the most active, because that's the body replicating and regenerating and recoding, which is the whole incubus and succubus, the demons at night. Yeah, when someone's at a deficit, those viruses are going to be like demonic. They're going to suck the life out of you. And so we have allegory and symbolism like incubus and succubus in the folklore of the esoteric knowledge to explain what viruses do. Viruses are the all-powerful thing in our environment, in everything that started mankind all the way up to this point. And so you have to understand how to look at now folklore and allegories. Everything is viral driven, and there's specific symbols and like caricatures that will represent what the viruses do overnight. And when you have dreams, those are the viruses that are coming to surface. And some of them are very like aggressive, because people out there that are aggressive, people that are really mean and evil, right? And they also die really mean and evil, and they also float around and they find things that they're able to inhabit. And then maybe you breathe it in, and then you're having weird dreams. And then you're harboring these types of entities in your body. You're not releasing them. So yes, they will affect how you sleep if they start coming to surface, start waking up. And so that's why then the whole thing with the possession and I don't know, when people get exercised, right? It's like a really aggressive type of symptoms. They throw up, maybe they poop. Their head spins around like The Exorcist. These movies based upon the Catholic Church, which understands the esoteric Trinity. That's what they're showing you, is that viruses can be very possessive, especially if they come from a very highly influential person that was alive and then they passed away, and their energy still has influence. And then people take on this energy, and then yes, you will see despots and leaders who are so like aggressive and they kill people. Okay? So anyways, you don't want to delete any programming, you want to assimilate. And all right, so I guess I don't see any question from you, Abby, so maybe I answered your question, but I'm telling you, anything that I say, Abby, and all of you guys, it's all reference to your situations, because you're not that different. You're on either end of the spectrum, whether you're obese or whether you're underweight or you're somewhere in the middle, and you have things going on. You have PTSD, you have, conflicting programming. Your body needs to be reset, but not so many times. You don't want to be in equilibrium, on a continuous basis. You want to be on equilibrium when you can feel like you want to see some relief, but then when you've gone through that pathway to equilibrium, because salt will cause a lot of things to come to surface, and you got to deal with it. And once you know you can survive it, then you get off the J juice, you get off and you eat the food supply, and then you feel evolution for what it is, and you can survive it. That's the whole point of the J juice, is the fact that you can survive all the different symptoms. Okay, and you can, any symptom that you have that you're like, oh, can J juice do this for this and that for that? That's what you have to deal with. You drink water, okay? You eat the food supply, you poop, you use, maybe yogurt probiotics, coffee and cream. I mean, I do the triple shot, Starbucks mocha from the can sometimes to get this stuff going if I really need to. But do not be using J juice for waterfalls because you have constipation. Don't be using J juice to preemptively bring up mucus because you just want to bring up mucus out of the blue. When your body is responding to the environment, it'll bring up mucus on its own. You'll poop out mucus if your body is releasing because you're eating all the food supply, or you got exposed to a new viral entity. And some of you have, diarrhea because you were exposed to new viral entities. So that's why you have the first lines and second lines of defense. So that way your body can recode and release the excess. And you have to feel, I felt heart palpitations sometimes. I mean, my husband and I, a couple of weeks ago, we both felt the energy of new viral entities. And I felt like the little bit of the anxiety and the low blood, the sugar drop, and then the beating of the heart. And I just ate a bunch of food. I ate some bread and cheese. I had quesadillas, and that absorbed that energy. And so you feed all the energy that you're feeling, which is all the pain. You feed the viruses. You feed the cancer. High sodium food. You do not starve cancer. You do not starve yourself when you're feeling symptoms. And so, anyways, you're going to have to adapt to this new environment, no matter what. There is no deleting. There's no overriding. I mean, I may have said that because, that's, I'm speaking the language of people in the holistic allopathic, but you will always want to assimilate. Okay? There's no way that they're going to have any programming in the vectors that's going to turn you into a dog. Okay? You got to have some kind of dog phenotypes, genotype in you. And if you're not a dog, you're not going to turn into another version of a dog. You'll be a more enhanced human. You'll have a clear mind. You'll have, you'll find proportion in your body. It's going to take a minute because you are so behind the eight ball or so ahead of the eight ball that you're not anywhere in balance. And it's not about being at equilibrium all the time. It's about first being at equilibrium to understand that you can be at equilibrium. That's the basis point. That's the fulcrum that you want to attain to. But then you also have to be bending in the wind. You must be able to adapt and evolve with any new viral entity. Okay? And if you have the inability and you want to resist evolution, you ain't going to survive. Okay? Yeah. I was going to give another analogy about certain types of poles that are very bendy, but when there's so much give to something, it weakens. So you have to have a balance between giving and being rigid, and that's the thing, is knowing when to be rigid and knowing when to give. And again, it's balance. All right, bye.